and welcome to the first ever live stream after the summer. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from Sweden. We're so excited to be back. And as always, my name is Sara. I'm a part of Adway, and we enable a 24/7 storytelling to your most desired candidates, fully automated in social media, unbiased as well. We have a really high energy session before us, and I'm so happy to be back with you all. And as always, please show your excitement in the comments. We're doing this together, so please fire away. We'd like to see you all, and I'm so excited for this session starting now. So, with me today, I have no others than Cornerstone and the brilliant Stefan Robsen, and Cornerstone, of course, is the #1 global learning solution with over 25 million users all over the world. And before we dig into who Stefan is, let me just say that if you would like all the key takeaways and all the insights from this session, don't be shy and comment summary. This is your moment to get your hands on all the takeaways. So, Stefan, welcome to the live stream show.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here.
Me too.
Should we start by just letting the audience know who Cornerstone is, of course, and what you do in the space of HR, TA, and recruitment, and who you are, of course, Stefan?
Yes. So we actually have 75 million users. But so we have 75 million users. We are in the talent management space, talent experience space. And we've been there for 21, 22 years.
Yes.
And we recently also acquired the number 2 in the space, Saba. So we are now the kings of this space, I would say, in terms of innovation, development, and also the amount of clients we have, like Amazon or other big players. And I think in the Nordics, we have about 20% of the top 100 companies as clients. So, yeah.
They're really, really cool. And
really cool.
when did you join Cornerstone?
I joined Cornerstone 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And right now I'm heading up the Nordics and Baltics for Cornerstone, and which is very fascinating. As we all know, the Nordics is always number 1 in innovation in lots of spaces, and specifically in digitalization. So it's a really good place to be in.
Yeah, we can take a lot of credit on that area.
Yeah.
So today, Stefan, we're here to dig into the most important job if you're in HR, TA, or recruitment. And that is to engage the most disconnected workforce of all time. So both physically and mentally. So let's just address the elephant in the room. This is and wasn't really the typical summer as we know it. So after 2 years of a pandemic and coming out of a summer, we've to this day probably never been more disconnected, like from our employers and also from new goals out there and also recruiters. So we have a big opportunity here to engage the candidates and of course re-engage our employees and people as well. And since you're the #1 learning and people development platform, we thought we'd use your experience today to get some help and insights to share with our network. So could we just start by addressing how HR can take the lead in this situation? How can HR help engage the most disconnected workforce of all time?
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's an interesting topic as well, and everyone knows that how it's changed, not only for me, but everyone knows. And we could just look at, because we have so many users, we could obviously take a look at what are people consuming in terms of content. And during the pandemic, there was a lot of content about mental health and how can I, work and then still kind of be sane in my position. And I think what's trending now is like, how can I grow? Because now people start feeling like, oh, we're getting out of this, pandemic kind of.
We've adjusted.
Yeah. We've adjusted. But I still think one of the problems is you have to wake up every morning, and previously you went to your office and your colleagues are there. There's the morning coffee. I mean, obviously, if you're in Sweden, there's the fika house, which doesn't happen at home, right? So then it's like, okay, I'm gonna wake up, get dressed, and have another video call or
Yeah.
conference call. I mean, it's not the same thing. It's not
No.
engaging. Yeah.
No.
So I think that's kind of one of the issues. And how do we deal with that kind of issue?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So at Cornerstone, what do you suggest to your customers? Like, how can they engage a hybrid workforce, working from home, working at an office, in different hours? What are our, best solutions to engage this workforce?
Yeah, but it's there's a lot of things. I think I mean, from an employee perspective, you need
Mm.
to have obviously some sort of platform where you can engage with your company and where they
Hmm.
can engage with you.
Okay.
You know what your goals are, what the business goals are. You know, if you're wondering about how are we doing because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
clear communication is key.
Mm.
But I think what we also forget sometimes, it's the leadership,
Mm.
that you need to have new leaders, especially in this era of the pandemic. You cannot just, you know, you need to interact with the employees, communicate, over communicate. It needs to be
Mm.
check-ins every day, perhaps, or every week.
Yeah.
Like how are you doing? And
Yeah.
not only like from a work perspective, but also maybe from a mental health perspective, and
Yeah. Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sure that people take time for it.
Yeah, and take social responsibility for your people. So
Yes.
as you were saying before, Stefan, like without social contact, it's super easy also to lose like confidence. So if
Yeah.
you're the employee sitting at home, what are you looking for besides like challenges and trainings and educational movements within your role? You're also looking for to be engaged, right?
Yeah.
You're looking for get the social context in a digital space.
Yeah, it is. I think, and I think also the other interesting piece might be that, when you're there at home thinking, okay, so I see all of this and I'm pretty engaged, but
Yeah.
what's my next career step? Or do I have the competence to, do my job in 6 months?
Mm.
And how do I perform against others,
Yeah.
depending on the job type? But I think it's especially interesting there, and I think that's what we're working on right now. So
Okay.
automate this. Okay, here is Stefan. This is his competencies, his skills,
Mm.
automated with AI, and then it can also plot my career path. Like
Okay.
here's a clear career path for me internally, which
Mm.
might be interesting, or
Mm.
it might be not. Maybe I want to stick in my role, but have a different kind of, but
Yeah,
grow
and I
in that
guess
role.
the important part is that if you don't like lay out and engage in the continuous development of your people, the good old loyalty that you had to the previous employer isn't really there these days. You're not
Right.
there emotionally, you're not there physically, so you really have to invest in like the building a career path. And as you said, it's super easy to automate it, but also this needs to be taken care of by HR, recruiters, and TA together, I'd say.
Yeah, and I
Mm.
mean, I fully agree, and you touched another point which is really interesting, I think, because I remember like the difference between Apple and other companies that came before Apple, and the iPhone and so on, is that Apple kind of changed the customers to become fans of their
Yeah.
brand,
Yeah.
and the others didn't. They were just customers.
Mm.
And here is the same thing. I mean, I think that people wants to be working somewhere where they're a fan as well. And
Yeah.
how do we create that environment? Because
Yeah.
that's culturally, etc. You
Mm.
need to be culturally, and we see a lot of movement in the workforce right now. And you could
Yeah. Yeah.
think that there's a pandemic, which means that people are, they want to be secure. They want to maybe not change jobs, but it's the opposite almost. People are
Yeah.
changing jobs very rapidly.
Definitely.
Certain part of
Definitely.
the workforce, I should say.
Yeah, 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 we see
Yeah,
that as well. And people are not staying as long. There's opportunities like on every social media channel they check into. So
yeah.
it's really about keeping the connection and keeping the continuous growth of the people. So if you were like, if you have like a company that struggles with a workforce, different type of talents, which gets engaged and excited by different type of initiatives and like programs, what would you recommend a management team to do?
Well, it's. I think first of all, you need to see people for who they are. I mean, as you also mentioned, I mean, it's gone kind of from an employer market to an
Mm,
employee market.
mm,
So and you as an employee, especially kind of different generations, needs to be
mm,
seen as who they are. This is me. I want this. So you need to have kind of an overarching view, like a
mm.
360. If you
Yeah.
think about and performance management, it's not about like, okay, you did this last year. This is so really good. You could be a bit better in this space and so on.
Hmm.
You need other tools
Yeah.
now to be
Yeah.
able to kind of catch all of those, specifics that
Mm,
makes a person unique. Because uniqueness is what we're getting at in
mm,
terms of career paths, development, and so on.
definitely.
Every person's unique. Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, if you're with us today, I see a lot of you in the comment section and a lot of you coming in. This is your moment to ask all your questions to Cornerstone, which is the number one leading people development platform in the world. So, there's plenty of opportunity to get your answers right now. And so, a big hype, just asking you right now, Stefan, is the talent mobility kind of aspect of everything. So, what are you guys' advice into this? It's like, we've touched on career development, we've touched on like learning and pathway and programs. How would you like, addressing secondments and job shares and perhaps mentoring programs and promotions? Is this all something that should be included in the discussions with HR?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I do also think, and I think a lot of HR people will agree that
Mhm.
sometimes we put too much on HR. Like it's only
Definitely.
an HR problem, but it's not.
No.
It's a company problem
Yeah.
because, as you said, and as we talked about before, prior to this, growth comes with engaged people,
Mm. Mm.
and this
Definitely.
is all the studies is showing that. So I think that's really really important. But career mobility also, we also know keeping people is much more cost effective and
Mm.
better for the company than sometimes recruiting from outside.
Yeah.
So
The
having,
combination, really.
exactly a
Yeah.
combination.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of people are just they're not seen perhaps, so they will take another job, whereas having solutions that can see everyone and knows what people are doing, not in a big brother sense, but
Mm.
in a good way,
Mm.
and for people to engage themselves as well in mentorships
Yeah.
of other people. I
And I
mean,
mean,
it's
building trust, like in this hybrid world as well, right? Because if you're always
yeah,
monitored in any way, you don't have the trust to go for it. I guess
but
that could be a big part.
yeah, it could, and it's also, I think it's two ways. I mean,
Mm.
on one hand side, um, a lot of people wants to take care for their own kind of development.
Yep.
They want to have this place where you can start doing that. I want to take these trainings and this, and I want to do this and that. But we need to remember there's a lot of people who doesn't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Correct.
They're
Mm.
not bad workers. They're
No. No.
just
No.
like, they have something else that
Triggers them.
makes them
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to see kind of how we deal with these different types of workers, to
Mm.
be honest.
Mm.
But it's yeah, we're working a lot here. Mentorship, check-ins, skills, and combining them in something new that we call Explore, which will
Okay.
basically just look at me, Stefan. What is Stefan's career path? What is
Yeah.
Stefan's learning and development path? And how should he become the best of him, so to
Yeah.
speak?
And is that based on potential rather than the steps you managed to climb this
Yes,
far? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
That's
Which is
really
also,
cool.
yeah, it is very cool. And we've yeah, we invest a lot in this specific space,
Mm.
and i
Yeah.
and i think that we're gonna amaze the our clients
Mm.
and everyone else when we come out with this new release in October
Okay.
timeframe,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
Okay. So, like recruiters' most important job right now, I know you have a lot of thoughts into this topic as well, like how we can bridge the gap and come united into the fact that new hires or engage both your current people and your upcoming and new roles and people that you're going to need. It's a gap between hiring managers, recruiters, and the staff internally. What are your thoughts into this?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is, I mean, first of all, we need to bridge the gap between hiring managers and recruiters. I think I think sometimes hiring managers, they don't understand what the recruiters are doing or the
Yeah.
process. They
Mm.
just want to be fed kind of candidates. And also on the other hand side, I think perhaps that hiring managers think that recruiters also don't understand really, the skills needed for this position.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to bridge that gap. I think that's very important.
Mm.
I also think that communication is key with candidates
Yeah.
right now, because
Mm.
you need to sell the position.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you
How?
need to sell more though. So
Of
just challenge
course,
you.
of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
course.
Challenge you there.
Culture. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it is
so
challenging because, as you
it
know,
is.
we have like what was that study that human beings have like 9 second of attention span and a goldfish has 8.
Yeah,
So this is where we are. So
definitely.
how do we sell in eight
Definitely.
seconds?
No, but
Yeah,
definitely. And so, like, since Adway and Cornerstone now are our partners, of course, engagement is a big part of where we're heading. So,
yeah,
Adway is all about engaging. So, we're enabling a 24/7, like, candidate journey, like, contacts and messaging, and really like architect the process around being on the candidates and your upcoming talents radar in their digital habitat where they spend their time. So since everyone is this disconnected, since everyone don't have the emotional connection to their employers anymore, it's also an upside to really come into someone's sphere, like digital sphere, and like challenge them with value, with as you mentioned, like the career growth opportunities, not just job, but really sell the opportunity and the value behind it. So
yeah.
that's a really cool collaboration. So it
No,
all
it is.
really comes down to, as you stated, like engagement. You have to be in their habitat where they are. And so as of today, hiring managers, HR, and TA, we have a lot of work to do to engage the disconnected. And in the TA sphere, where I spend all my time, we know exactly how to attract and really work with the conversion. But then further down with you guys at Cornerstone too, how can we really keep this momentum during this career path? Because signing them and getting them onboarded, well, that's one task. But then keeping them engaged, working from, like, most of us haven't even seen our colleagues for the last 2 years. So this is a big topic, and I guess people will that just this is just scraping on the surface. We have so much more to do in this area.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to the point, a company we worked with, they had an issue with what we started working with. They had an issue with culture. Was their
Yeah.
problem? It's
Yeah.
like they were selling the culture to the person in the kind of initial steps, and
Mm-hmm.
then on the onboarding, all
Mm.
about culture, and then they start to work, and it's like this is nothing
It's a
like
shovel in the face.
exactly. So they couldn't keep people,
Mm.
and it's
It's
such a
typical.
simple thing.
Yeah.
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 So it is
No,
important.
it is a life cycle or an ecosystem or a chain, if you will. So
Yeah,
so I mean branding could be easy. It's not about branding. It's about telling the honest story and truth. But you have to challenge the old ways. You have to challenge your candidates, and you have to challenge your people
exactly.
in what we're going to accomplish together.
Yeah,
So I am really curious into how this development path, because what we are seeing and what I'm seeing is that I'm not coming to work, but I am. But you see my point. I'm coming to work to kind of get a paid education, and this is quite harsh. This is like really a change from how we've seen work before, but that's quite the case now. We're building our like CV, if you will, on our different with our different employers, and that's kind of the expectation. I expect to be challenged, educated, and trained along the way, and in exchange, I will do my every best and be as engaged I can in my role. So
that's a
I
good.
think
That's
this is a really cool shift and momentum
it
that's
is. It is
happening
very
right
cool.
now. Yeah.
It is very. It is. Yeah.
It is. So
Are you free? Are you free?
No, I'm not. I'm a passive candidate. You have to nurture me.
Okay. Yeah.
Time is actually running from us. We have a couple of questions. Let's say we finish off with some of the questions, and
Yeah.
then we take your most important takeaways, Stefan. So figure out your takeaways, and we'll dig into a bit of a questions. Let's see. Yes. So we have Shubham with us. He has like 40,000 followers on LinkedIn. He's a senior human resources manager, and he has a couple of questions. I've seen them now. Let's just see how many we'll do today. So we have a point to address. No matter what kind of office you work in, isolation and loneliness can happen. What can HR do? What are your reflections here, Stefan?
I think there's a lot of things HR can do, but as
Mhm.
I said, it's not
Yeah.
an HR issue. But I do think as a company, like Cornerstone, we have just came out of something called a wellness day,
Mm.
where everyone, all the employees, can just take a wellness day and
Ah,
hike and do whatever
for
they want
themselves. Yeah.
for themselves and
Yeah.
post it and whatever makes you
Mm.
feel good. It doesn't need to be to run a marathon. It could
Mm.
be I don't know, sitting and watching the sun go up and then the
Mm.
sunset. I think things like that, and also
Yeah.
development days, where you as an employee could engage in. But engagement is the key here. But I do think that you need to think about it
Mm.
because there's a lot of people sitting and
Yeah.
it's difficult to be isolated.
It is.
It is extremely
And
hard.
I really want to highlight, as you mentioned, it's not, and I know Shubham knows this too, it's not just an HR issue, but we can do a lot in this space. There's a lot we
Yeah,
can do to help the organization. So
absolutely.
check-ins, we can do, all virtual events that's possible. Like,
Yeah.
you can use tools to these talent development programs, just to always be on top of your people, offering them solutions, career developments, just check-ins, see how they're doing mentally. Also, very very important parts.
Yeah, it
But yeah,
is.
it should be a joint OKR for the
And
whole.
to talk about it as much as you
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
job performance, you have to
yeah.
talk about how are you doing, is
At
everything
home.
okay,
Yeah.
because yeah, well-being of our employees is important.
No, it's one of the most important questions,
Yeah.
definitely. Let's do one more. Oh, sorry, we're back here. Okay, Shubham again. Digital disconnection is high. People are not very adapted towards digitalization and feel concerned and disconnected. How can we find and address this connection? So I guess it's also a bit of a, generation question, and like majority coming into working fully remote and in this digital world also feel like comfortable, right?
Yeah,
I guess you
it
see
is.
the whole
And
spectrum on Cornerstone too for your
yeah,
client.
no, yeah, of course. And also you have, if you're talking about digitalization, and let's just if we take like how we interact with
Mm.
people, and let's say we have some sort of platform that where we can communicate and we can add content there, then it's important that it's not content that is 10 years old,
Ah,
because no one wants to look at it like an
no,
hour long PowerPoint presentation with
no.
maybe
Too
it's a
long,
two
won't
minute.
read.
Yeah, it's 2 minute, it's one topic.
Yeah.
And so we actually we did this a couple of years back. We started to doing courses or content specifically for a younger generation. It's
Mm.
one topic and it's less than 2 minutes,
Oh, cool. Cool. What are the
for
impacts of that
instance.
concept?
Oh, it's great because it brings up like I mean, first of all, the format I think is good.
Mm.
So there's not someone in my age trying to tell someone. It's actually people of that generation, but they for instance, it's like, how do I communicate with my manager when I get an
Mm.
email, like
Okay, that could be
and
a
then,
topic, like easy to
for instance,
digest, to
yeah,
discuss. Yeah.
because it's their first job,
Yeah.
right? so
Okay.
so they don't text and do Teams and do
Yeah.
this and that, like it's
Mm.
the manager might just
Yeah.
want an email back. That's
Yeah.
the chain of communication that you want.
Yeah.
For instance, it's
Yeah.
that simple, and then you take another topic and another topic, but
Mm.
yeah, that's something we've done to assist. But digitalization hits people, depending on their job, depending on culture or where
Mm.
they live, and so on. So
Yeah. Thank you. Well, great question, Subham. I know you have some more. Let's see. Nope. Here we are. Let's finish up with this and then go for takeaways. And people, remember to comment summary if you need all the takeaways. So, whether they are working in a cubicle or from their home office, almost all employees want to feel their company offers them opportunities to develop new skills and advance themselves. So, what are the steps HR can leverage here? So, we were discussing talent development and mobility a lot, but if you were to just conclude how this is answered from Cornerstone perspective.
well, first of all, it's like, what skills do you have?
Mm.
And I think that's a very important thing, because I think people don't understand what skills they have, because they had a job 6 years ago
Ah, yeah.
looking like that. They have communication skills.
Mm.
And I think what we've done with our AI kind of engine here is to automate this process. So that's clear, which
Mm.
means that you could also automate what you need to do to improve skills wise in your specific role, depending on looking at all
Yeah,
other
all
people
of
that are
you.
working in this
Yeah,
business. Yeah.
yeah.
Or
So just
looking
because you
just inside the
started,
company.
yeah, just because
Right.
you started in IT doesn't mean that's your whole spectra, right?
Right. And then
Mm. Mm.
also you could like grow into this role if you had these skills,
Mm.
but not knowing is not knowing.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
so skills
definitely.
is kind of that's where we're heading as well as a company,
Yeah,
to
cool.
automate that, to make it easier for
Mm.
people to
Mm. To
grow
understand
and
themselves
develop.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
and for the
correct.
managers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for these great questions, Subham. I know you're really engaged in the lives. So we have some more. Do we have time? Let's see. Let's do one from Sophia as well. So, most connected from what? Seems like the challenges from the last couple of years connected humans with other important aspects of life. Maybe that is a channel to connect with the workforce. Besides technology and HR, seems like we need to keep evolving towards what is really important lately. People engage nowadays in job that allow them stability and balance more than ever. And this is really a point here, Sophia. Like how can you from like I have to stand above this question from the job ad and the job like TA perspective down further to your full role, how can we focus on work life balance or mental health or achieving the goals without managing taking vacation? So I think she brings up a really great perspective here. What are your thoughts, Stefan?
No, it is, and it's it is a very interesting perspective, and it
Mm.
also is different for everybody. I mean, one of my friends, he's like, I want to go at 8:30 and leave at 5 and put my
Yeah,
computer in a drawer.
yeah,
That's what he believes is,
yeah,
because
he's work life balance.
exactly.
Mm.
But nowadays, yeah, it's a very good question. It's really, when does it stop ever?
Mm. Mm.
Even for, when does it stop?
Yeah, yeah, and since we're doing everything remote, we're working 24/7. We're never shutting down. So this should be like infused from TA down to like offboarding. Like how can we
Exactly.
do this like sustainable and stable as possible? So a
Yeah.
really great perspective, and thank you for this question, Sophia.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Sophia.
unfortunately, time is really ticking. Should we just finish off this session, Stefan, with your most important takeaway? So, if you were to sum up this session and give your advice globally, what would you say to us?
Well, I was just thinking about a couple of things, and more also because I know that you're in the TA space, and most people might be. But I think like engagement and communication with candidates, if you are a recruiter, and how you engage with them, knowing like not what the job is, but like where are they in 3 years, because that's normally what we ask. What do you see yourself in 3 years? Maybe we don't do it now, but that's the question they probably want to know.
Mm,
Where am I in 3 years?
mm,
Now you should tell me. I shouldn't tell you. You should tell
mm.
me. So I think it's
Yeah, the
that's
reverse perspective there.
Exactly.
Mm,
I also think, what we talked about, painting career paths for people, which is to the other point I had, is for the current position, but also for a new position, and
mm,
also what skills is needed for me, so I don't get stressed. I want to be comfortable in my situation, and
mm.
also want to know my clear development plan. And last thing, if I'm a recruiter, which I'm not, but I think like branding and culture of all, like from a company perspective, am I employing someone who's culturally fit with us, and the
Mm.
opposite as well, and
I
also
challenge
so
you
it's
there.
yeah,
Culturing add to our team. So adding to our team
yes, correct,
instead of fitting. Because,
correct,
if
correct,
our
correct,
culture
correct.
is, can't handle
You're
the
right.
the
No,
the
you're right.
ad, then we don't really have the culture. But yeah, so it's
Perfect,
it's a mental
perfect.
shift, but it's really,
Yeah,
really important. How and how can we help diversify our talent pools and the people coming in to add on to our culture?
right.
Definitely. Where
Very good.
engagement is a big part all the way
It
through,
is.
really.
It is. And also, I think the last point might be, because a lot of people are talking about AI and how to
Yeah.
use AI.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to educate themselves. Like, what is this? Would it
Mm.
help this process,
Mm.
and not just switch of, like, oh, we're doing it, because in
Mm.
some processes, it's not. It's going to have more question marks than it will help, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. You need to own the questions being asked, and if it's a solution to use AI or machine learning or whatever, or
Right.
a solution to keep the human touch points, that's up to you to decide. So you
Exactly.
need to own and be actually curious about all these new techniques. And I always recommend define where to insert the technique and where to insert the human parts to have your process fully oiled or the best machinery in use.
Precisely, precisely. Because we all know, like, if we use it in recruiting and all of a sudden someone calls, like, oh, so I was excluded here. Why is that? Ooh, it's a
Mm.
machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a difficult conversation,
It
and
it
probably
is.
a
Yeah.
different topic for another session.
Probably, probably. But I want to give you a big warm thank you, Stefan, for joining the live stream today. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will get back to you with a full summary, and let's finish this session. So bye
And
bye
thank
and
you,
thank
Sarah.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Stefan. We'll see you in the next live.
Bye.
Bye.